Greetings, viewers. This is CP666 signing on for a video of this. A very neat sight that you don't see very often. A camera box for a camcorder. And there is a Ricoh R-66 in this box. The camera itself is really not anything to write home about. It's an old camera with the old style lens, or at least semi-old style lens. It doesn't have manual zoom or anything like that, but it does have the manual focus and the manual macro. The box isn't in very good shape, but you can get something of an idea for some of the features. 2 hours of recording would of course be with a standard 120 minute tape. And it doesn't have a titler, but it has a superimposer. It is, of course, NTSC Video8. Like I said, the box is really kind of in rather terrible shape, but it is kind of nice to at least see the box. Accessory kit is included. Well, kind of. It's not what I ended up with. This was a freebie. Did not pay anything for this. And I probably wouldn't have either, because like I said, it's not anything that's overtly special. A couple of things there. I think it's pretty much just the same thing on all sides of the box. And the top. Let's open it. Please read the instruction manual. So there's your usual note on moisture condensation. So there's a camera bag, which has the camera itself in it. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Hopefully I can actually get it out of here without spilling the entire contents. So what else do we have in here? I haven't actually looked, so I don't know. Other than the power supply, which is an ACV30, although obviously it's badged Ricoh. They were the ones that made the camera. Try and get this out. That's probably really the most useful thing of the entire deal. There's a manual for the ACV30. There's this battery. So, it's from Japan. It's just a cheap aftermarket battery. I'd be shocked if it works, although it'd be kind of a shame if it doesn't, because it does have the dual mode. You could use that for the VHS-C ones. But they generally tend not to work. Here's a shoulder strap, which is in actually not very good shape, but it is there, I guess. This thing, I don't know what this is. Here is a genuine battery. This is an NP55. Again, if this is any good, I'll be very surprised. But we'll try it out, certainly. At least it comes with the carrying case. I could use that for some of the working batteries. And of course, the user's manual, which is falling apart apparently, for the Ricoh R-66. Including some notes. Looks like about the RF, presumably for an older TV. Right, here is the bag. I don't really care for this bag either, but it is nice to keep a few of these around. Which reveals the camera. I believe that's it. There's nothing else in this bag. No tapes or anything, which I was kind of hoping for, but no big loss, really. So here is the camera in all of its glory. I believe that V Westlife demonstrated one of these in a video at one point. I seem to recall a video with a bunch of older Video8 cameras. It's mono audio. Here you can see it does seem to support recording to tape. In V, yeah, it does. as a actual VTR rather than just playback, so that's kind of neat. I kind of doubt that this thing works, just because, you know, it's from October of 1990. And the problem with a lot of these cameras, I don't know why this one's having such trouble focusing today, but the problem with a lot of these cameras is that they have capacitors in them that go bad. It was a common thing amongst Japanese electronics. This is a rebadged Sony Handycam. Back in the 90s, Sony allowed companies to do that. There were a number of different companies that did that, including some you might not even think of. I got a couple of Nikon camcorders on this channel. They were rebadged Handycams, but Ricoh, I think, was one of the more common ones and one of the cheaper ones. Well, that being said, it's really not common to see anything but a Sony Handycam. The one nice thing about this one is that it looks like the rubber on the top has not degraded into a sticky mess, which is what tends to happen on a lot of these. You can get a general idea for the controls if the camera would focus. Like I said, I'm not really sure why it's having such a hard time tonight. I want to go ahead and just see if it'll power up. And if it does, I want to see if it'll actually play back a tape. And if it does that, then I guess we can try and record. So I'll be right back with the results, thanks to the magic of videotape. Okay, well, this is the Ricoh R-66, but there is one problem. Somehow I knew that something was going to go wrong. It did not record audio. And no matter how hard I try, I can't get it to record audio. So I guess I'm now going to have to dub this and assume that I know what I'm doing. So we're panning around, just trying it out. Video quality looks pretty decent. Trying out the 6x optical zoom. Being an older camera, the focus is a little iffy, so you can see it's deciding it doesn't want to focus. Try to get it manually, it still doesn't want to focus. There we go, now it's in focus. So that's just a little cumbersome to use because it's older technology and it doesn't really work. Zoom back out. Talking about something, yak, yak, yak. Like I'm now trying to use the macro and not really understanding how it works. I think V Westlife had issues with the macro as well. And I can tell you right now the way that it works is you push the macro button and then you push telephoto on the zoom control and it will go back out and you can adjust it that way. It is still a manual macro, but it's a little bit more cumbersome to use in the cameras that have the lever on the manual zoom control. Of course, this doesn't have manual zoom control, so you don't have that option. So we're panning around again. I think I'm coming closer to something. Just having a look, having a talk about things. Probably the battery. Actually, what I'm using right now is a... Oh, no, I just stopped. Now we're moving on to something else. Probably the superimpose. Trying to get the superimposer set up. It doesn't have a titler, it has a superimposer. So it should just have taken some memory, and I think if I remember right, I had to stop the recording and take the memory, and then it started working. So we're still going here, panning around, talking about things. There we go, there's the superimposer. This is white. There's a bunch of different colors, but this is really the only method that you get. There's no anything else. There's blue, there's green, there's teal, red, violet, yellow, and black, which is more of a gray than a black, but what have you. But anyway, the battery is actually a AA pack that I keep telling people they should buy those instead of the nickel cadmium batteries or the nickel metal hydrides, and I never had one, so I finally went and picked one up. So now I guess we're roving around. Although right now what I might be doing is I might actually be using the nickel metal hydride pack that it came with, that again and again thing. This is a good low light test. Coming down here, mobility, which I bet is not something that they thought they would have in the year 2020. Going downstairs, taking a look at some things. More zoom testing. Look at a computer that doesn't belong to me. That's that machine that I tested. If you watched the video log from eons ago, I think I've mentioned it in one of them. Another low light test. Come in here and have a look at some things. The video is kind of grainy. I wasn't really expecting it to be as grainy as it was. I think the lens is in a little bit better shape than the one that V Westlife had. But of course V Westlife's recorded audio and this one doesn't. Really kind of too bad. I wanted to hear what the audio sounded like, if it was muffled and weird sounding like his was, or if it actually sounded like it should have. This is not the only Handycam that I have that will not record audio. I've got a TR-77 that's the same way. And I'm wondering if it's got something to do with the input-output switch, because I can't get it to output video either, video or audio. So look outside at the very paltry amount of snow. Mostly just a view of the floor, really. Going back up. Probably about to go get the battery to test it. Really dark. Can't see anything. There, you can see the disaster. It's all over the floor that you don't need to comment about. There's a lot of things that are going on. A lot of projects that are happening. Trying to think. I think right now I'm about to demonstrate the high-speed shutter, which is about the only other feature it has. 100, 1000, and 4000, I think. I don't remember. Back to automatic. I just really wish it recorded audio. So, I don't know what I'm talking about now. Just looking aimlessly into a corner. And yeah, this must be the again and again battery that I'm trying out, which said it was fully charged. So, seems to be working so far, which is pretty neat. Although being a nickel metal hydride, it should work a little bit better than the NiCads. The NiCads tend to develop a memory. Talking about installing a new 2025 battery, which I've since taken out because the camera is not really useful. So now we're going to take this thing on another joyride. Have some fun with it. Yay, low light sensitivity. This is how technology used to be. Just oogling at some things. It's not very good and doesn't have very good light sensitivity. But again, it's pretty normal, pretty average for a camera of this age to be like this. Look at how dirty that soap bottle is. Well, maybe not. Won't focus on it. That's just gross, really. I can't believe I showed that on video. Of course, I'm in a bathroom, so that's a thing. And I'm having difficulty trying to get the focus to do what it needs to do. I tried to do it manually, and it still didn't work. This is one of those lovely things that it doesn't really work for that medium distance between really far away and really close up. So the macro isn't going to be useful for that, and the actual focus isn't going to be useful for that either. And cameras of the time period were all pretty much like that. Now I'm pointing it at a mirror. It's probably a wonder that didn't break it. You can see me. Yay. It's probably a wonder that didn't break it either. Yikes. Still trying it out. Battery is still running. So we were able to do all that on that again and again battery. Look at the Christmas tree. Of course, this was shot back in December of 2020. By the time you're watching it, it's probably going to be like December 2021 or something, because I am just so far behind on my editing. Thermostat. Focus is a little slow, but again, it's pretty typical for a camera of this age with the manual focus ring. And the actual manual focus ring, it's not just like an electronic ring where you turn it and it acts like a wheel. Looking at the dishwasher somebody left on, I think it's about now that the battery called it quits. Somewhere around here. Right about there. So there's that battery that I was just using. And the NP55 that it came with, which we're about to see, is completely dead. With a blinking orange light of doom, it won't even charge, so, I mean, that's pretty expected for an old nickel cadmium like that. So we're continuing to have a discussion. Probably was going to wrap up the video, and it's about here that I figured out how the macro works. So, you can see my reflection. Unfortunately, there's not enough of a reflection. I can't read my lips and tell you what I was saying. But, yeah, I think that's just about wrapped up, really. There's not much else to mention or talk about. So it's just yakking on about it, and its lack of features, and its how old it is. Being from 1990, it's pretty old technology. I wouldn't be surprised if actually capacitors are the problem. Well, there's a CCD TR6, which is a pretty similar camera, except it's got the actual manual zoom lever, which I actually prefer over this particular camera, which is really difficult to use. Yeah, there we go. Now I figured out how the macro works. So you can see the macro is actually doing what it's supposed to do. Nickel metal hydride, which is supposed to be just that much better than NiCad. It was a step above. Nothing like lithium ion, though. I think nickel metal hydride still did have a little bit of a memory problem, but it wasn't nearly as bad as NiCad was. So yeah, there we go. More discussion about the macro mode and how it works. You control it with the zoom lever. If you go too far wide, it will go out of macro mode. But that's how it really works. But I suppose technically that's how the older cameras worked, because I mean they did have the macro mode that worked with the zoom lever. It just wasn't quite as easy or as difficult to use as this one. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you had any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off, and I hope to see you next time. Till then.